Captain's Log, Tuesday the 31st, August. I'm making another log because I'm being accused of being insane and self-sabotaging and that kind of thing. I'm going to explain the situation in the basement. We had to get inspected by a master electrician because somehow or another our lawyer supposedly didn't do our license right. We got shut down during an audit, and we had a master electrician to come in and see these blackened and charred wires were what were powering the building. He took one look at this, and these panels that had been underwater, as you can see the rusty line, everything that was in the rust line from here down, blackened, ruined, collapsed tubes, collapsed fuses, blackened wiring, unusable. We were lucky this place was standing. It had to go. I told the boss the solution was to hire somebody to come in and help harvest all the old copper and stuff from the unusable and put in a new system. One of the hires that was here and told us he had a couple of electricians that could come and help. One of them was a carpenter that I'd been in once, and I didn't want him back, even though, because he had already been shown to be sticky-fingered and loved tools to leave with him. They came in anyway at their behest and the insistence of the aboves who wanted it done as fast as possible. They came in here and pulled wires from just about everything that ran the top floors, and I told them to leave the bottom two floors, bottom three floors actually, but two floors alone, and they still harvested all that, but they did that the last couple of days. I, in the meantime, had been fighting a battle of the plumbing from Hades. The clogs in the drain pipes got them solved and everything's running new, but it took everything I had several times, several snakings. The PEX plumbing that I put in over here to replace all the stuff that was there is literally leaking right out of the center of the PEX valve and making a runnel of water coming out. I've got to replace it and make a manifold for all the water feeds for the new stuff. This is the pathway where we're going to the water feed, and the pump two, I had to reroute in its entirety because when the power went out, the three pumps could not all run at one time on the single generator that did not get Coca-Cola or Dr. Pepper poured into the gas tank. Another unbelievable, unfathomable coincidence that happened while we were running on generators. Two generators, brand new, stopped working within a day of each other. And lo and behold, their manifolds and their combustion chambers were full of blackened sugar. Again, must be a coincidence. They were sitting outside on the porch so they wouldn't emit carbon monoxide. And they got Coca-Cola or Dr. Pepper poured into them. Of course, coincidence. This pump right here was running through this steel pipe originally, and then going this way into that broken off area right there. That didn't take it forward all the way to the main drain, which is pump one. The problem is the main drain has a super powered freaking pump in it, and it's hard to run on one single 1800 watt generator. So I had to come in its entirety, hang another out pipe, directing it this way towards another place that I had to put a junction in to make it go where it didn't go into the main, the grease trap over there. Since it's mainly rainwater, just let it go out without going through the chewer, make it slurry, and go straight into the regular white and gray water out. Oh, and did I mention the other reason I didn't want to use the main one? Because strangely enough, around the same time as the generator stopped working, pump one stopped working as well. Out of nowhere, it simply does not run anymore, and I'm gonna have to pull it up out of the pit to find out. And strangely enough, right before that, what even caused the power outage was Joe woke me up one morning, panicked, and wanted to know what the hell I was doing trying to kill us all. And what are you talking about? He takes me to the basement he found and showed me that all the wires, all the electrical extension cords that I had down here that were plugged into heaters and wind machines to dry it out were all dangling down into water. The hot ends were in water. Now, they were all unplugged from the outlets where I had them from, but all the ends were in water, so obviously, by some coincidence, they all jumped out of the knots that I habitually, after 40 years of working with Craftsman, you tie a bow knot everywhere, making sure that the hot ends are tied by square knots far, far, far above the ground. They all untied themselves and jumped into the water below, but only after unplugging themselves from the outlets. Of course, another coincidence that all happened, and then somehow or another SWEPCO comes and out of nowhere shuts our power off a week later or less. So we got that non-working. I had to put in a brand new line here for the out. Well, then the water in problem, which has been plaguing me since the ice storm with all the bursts, these valves down here were leaking so bad, along with the junctions, I decided I had to replace them. I brought the parts in. I staged that several parts for lengths and measurements. I came upstairs. I sat there, and Joe came up, and I was sitting talking to Mary, and he was so trashed. His eyes were bad. He's like, I've never seen such amateurish crap. What the hell you thought you were doing? So I took care of all that down there. He took everything and kind of made this amalgam of really weirdly hung, nonsensically made junctions and joints. And all this stuff here is from constant rebuild because everything he built kept rupturing. I left after an hour of arguing with him about the fact that you do not put primer on for 90 minutes and then put the frickin' glue in, and then you do not put everything in where there's a bend in the pipe and say it'll hold when the water pressure is going to be 100 and something pounds. He had badly sealed everything. He had stuff tied up with string, tied up with zip ties and hanging wires and stuff. I ended up staunching all the freaking leaks and everything as much as I could with Gorilla Tape and water tape that could hold hundreds of pounds of pressure supposedly, but it could not hold around this stuff because it was constantly blowing itself apart because the glue was substandard. It was the glue he insisted on. The primer was put on wrong, and he would not read the instructions. He wouldn't listen to tutorials or witnesses, anything. He absolutely screwed this up beyond all recognition. I finally rebuilt everything using steel for most of the junctions all the way up to there. Still got some more to go, but it's held ever since I rebuilt it. But I kept building it, trying to fix it, and it inexplicably would just burst again. And my master plumber friend Kent, he helped me build it a couple of times, and he's like, what? How? That does not make sense. He's never heard of that. I've never seen it. Not long after that, coincidentally, my trail cam caught some people coming into the elevator overnight once when I was asleep, and one of them came this way, and one of them went into the bathroom area of my mezzanine, and my mezzanine sink wouldn't drain all of a sudden. I just got the water running, and all of a sudden the drainage wouldn't work. Joe told me, obviously, I was incompetent at that. And by the way, the day before I'd come and finish the sewage, and it took all day, and I asked Joe where he was. He said, man, when it comes to sewage, I tend to forget everything I know about plumbing because I hate doing sewage. So, poor me, unfortunate me. I got the sewage running, I got the water running, and the sink wouldn't drain. He told me, obviously I didn't know what I was doing. He left. He had just gotten through help getting some ACRs out of the roof, and in his usual fashion, instead of helping do the carpentry stuff he was hired for, he called his girlfriend and disappeared for 2 or 3 days, again, leaving me. I took all the precautions I could, and all the steps that I could to unclog. So finally I took the sink apart from underneath, and lo and behold, inside the sink was a garbage bag. No, not garbage, a grocery bag with a rolled up sponge and retied off, making it watertight, stuffed into the pipe. I'm sure that was just an accident and it could have just happened nowhere. I'm sure it's just another coincidence, along with the fact that I came down here and found hammers and pliers and pipe wrenches near places where all of a sudden I could see chewed marks and separations in the pipe that I just laid, causing more ruptures again. Again, coincidences, self-sabotage, me not hiring people who came and did that because I like drama and I'm going crazy, and I still don't get that. I still don't get what my end game was. So in short, I've still got to fix that, find out what's wrong with it because it stopped working. Joe also broke the elevator pump by dropping something from up above and breaking the pipe and not going, and he refused to go down in there to fix it because, well, he didn't want to do that. That's sewage, and he forgets what he's doing because he chooses to forget. But that's the basement. That's where I spent so many hours, not including the places where water is coming in. I showed the boss where fresh water is coming in from underground, and we've got inexplicable water sweats coming in from the side areas. But, I'm going to go to the roof and show you some more of Wonderful Joe's work in this gutted building.